Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to History with the Bard. I'm your host, Creepy Bard, and tonight I'd like to revisit a topic that I haven't touched on since the rework of our content. We're going to talk about Three Kingdoms era China this week. Not Romance of the Three Kingdoms, like we usually do, but the closest approximation to the actual Three Kingdoms that we can manage. Think of it as Three Kingdoms light. We won't be talking about specific people when we can avoid it. We're definitely going to avoid all the magic and mysticism that is linked to the novel, and in general, we're just going to try to hit the broad strokes. If you guys like this video and want to know more about the Three Kingdoms, then we can start doing a deep dive into the material, exploring the individuals involved and the events that took place. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so for now, let's take a moment to look at how China fell apart and became the Three Kingdoms. To understand the Three Kingdoms, we first have to talk about the Han Dynasty, the dynasty that came before it. The Han Dynasty was founded in 206 BC and lasted until about 220 AD, which is roughly a 400-year time span. By contrast, during that time in the West, Greece would finish falling, be supplanted by Rome, Christ would be born and then killed, and then Rome would take the entirety of the Mediterranean through the Punic Wars, as well as other campaigns around the same time. We'll cover the specifics of the Han in a later video, but for now, we're going to focus on the fall of the Han, as the events that take place here set the stage for the Three Kingdoms period. Through a series of rebellions, as well as the ruling family relegating most of the governing of China to political eunuchs, sometimes actual eunuchs, sometimes just ineffectual leaders, the Han Empire made it clear to the people that they were not in a position to keep control of the empire. This left them open to the machinations of Dong Zhao, a greedy individual who would bully his way into power over the weak and ineffectual governing body. Through intimidation and brute force, Dong Zhao would set himself up as the de facto ruler of the empire. Many individuals would come to despise this situation, leaving a relatively young general named Cao Cao to gather forces to remove him. After this was done, the empire became at peace again, and everyone lived happily ever after. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. Instead, after Dong Zhao was removed, Cao Cao would use the same intimidation tactics to simply replace Dong Zhao as the de facto ruler, leaving the emperor in a place as a figurehead. This would cause the split in the empire that would eventually be known as the Three Kingdoms period. When talking about the Three Kingdoms period, there are three names that we have to discuss. No avoiding it. Those three people are Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan. Each of these men were decorated war heroes from the rebellions of the late Han Dynasty, and each laid claim to the idea that they deserved to wield power for different reasons. For Cao Cao, he would claim power by virtue of his achievements, claiming that because he had been such a phenomenal help to the empire, more than the emperor ever could have managed, he deserved to be, if not emperor, at least a prince. For Liu Bei, he would trace his ancestry to the imperial line, claiming that because he was a member of the royal family, no matter how distant, that only he could truly restore the Han to glory. Before Cao Cao's usurpation of the throne and the fall of the Han, Liu Bei had even endeared himself to the current emperor so much that he received the title of Imperial Uncle, as a way of recognizing his claim to that lineage. For Sun Quan, the claim to power came not from some noble deed or lofty lineage, but through sheer force of will. You see, Sun Quan did not consider himself in line for power at first. He even offered to act as a vassal state for Cao Cao's Wei Empire, but when the Wei demanded his son as a hostage, he quickly cut ties, and then crowned himself as emperor as a sign of political defiance. And so, each of these men would found a separate state. Cao Cao's family would eventually create the state of Cao Hui, supplanting the Han Dynasty entirely. In response to this, Liu Bei would declare himself the last hope of the Han and create the state of Shu Han. After his troubles with the Wei, Sun Quan would step up and declare himself the emperor of the state of Dongwu. These three states would battle from 220 to 280 AD, when out of nowhere, one of Cao Cao's children would supplant the Cao Wei state and replace it with the Jin state, which would eventually conquer the rest of these states. This would unify China once again, for about a generation, and then China would fall apart again. And so the Three Kingdoms period came to an end, significantly more abruptly than it started. It can be easy to dismiss this time period in the West, as it is essentially a period of civil war, which we tend to avoid talking about. Not only that, but many people, in America at the very least, simply ignore the fact that China even exists. But this time period in Chinese history is incredibly important, not just because it was a tumultuous time, but because the resulting literature about the period has become a mainstay of Chinese popular culture. Understanding this period and the literature related to it goes a long way to understanding the complexity of Chinese culture. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this week's video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, if you want to see more content, then click the link to see whatever YouTube thinks you'll enjoy, and maybe hit us up over on Patreon. Be sure to join us every Saturday for a new video, and every Tuesday we do recordings on Twitch, so be sure to check that out too.